Hi, ladies, welcome. If you're here, it's likely because you're ambitious and high achieving, and you're looking for genuine peace of mind when it comes to your finances. The Freedom Budget Method was engineered for exactly that reason. Let me walk you through the architecture. This is the landing page for the installation of the method. And since you're watching this video, you've already found your way here. When you've finished watching, I want you to scroll down to the tools. We begin with the vision. Before we even touch a single number, we use this workbook to audit your current flow and define your stability number. This is where we clear the mental noise and design the blueprint for your life. We're not just budgeting, we're deciding what your money is actually for. You click here to download the PDF, and it should come up to you like this. The first part here is the installation protocol. You start by defining your wealth vision and what financial power actually means to you. So before we install the structure, we need to define who you want to become financially. So take your time answering this section. Then we get down to the financial power declaration. And I know some of you might feel like this is silly, but it's quite a good tool to remind yourself of what you're actually aiming for, what financial power will mean for you, and how it will change your future. The next part is the wealth direction and stability planning. This is where we find your stability number. And the stability number, it's not just a calculation, it's a benchmark of liquidity that you need to reach this level of cognitive silence that we're looking for. The next part is about investment. What can you commit to investing monthly? Then it's the 3-year wealth direction. Where are you looking to be when you look into your accounts in 3 years? Then it's about the non-negotiables, because this is not a restricting yourself budget template. This is about enabling you to continue to live the life that you want to live while still feeling like you're in control of your finances. Then we have the Freedom Budget installation part, the allocation commitment. What are you committing to for the next 90 days in terms of investments, future buffer, and defining what guilt-free living really means to you? For the next 90 days, you decide what your focus will be. Do you want to reduce your essentials? Do you want to increase your wealth allocation? Do you want to increase your future buffer? What is it that you're looking to change in your finances in the coming 90 days? Then we come to the monthly structural activation. And this is about automating, but also about discipline. First of all, make sure that you set up your automation. Make sure that the money that you decide goes into your future buffer and your investment actually gets drawn from your account as soon as your paycheck comes in. This way, you don't have to think about it, it just gets allocated automatically. The second part here is where the discipline comes in, because you need to have a monthly structural review and reallocate if needed. If you need to invest slightly less that month and put more into your buffer because you used it, or if something specific is happening that month, maybe you need to put a little bit more into your guilt-free spending pot. It is important that you keep up that discipline. After 90 days, how do you feel? How is your cognitive silence doing? Do you still feel anxiety when you open your bank account? Do you know when your wealth allocation gets allocated from your bank account automatically? Do you still have any financial surprises monthly that comes up? This is where you really reflect on your finances and finalize your freedom budget method. Hopefully after this, it just sticks. Once your vision is set, we move into the command center. This is where the engineering happens. You'll enter your data and the system immediately calculates your allocations, telling you exactly how much to invest, save, and spend. It's designed to give you cognitive silence or financial calm so that you can stop tracking every cent and start executing a plan with mathematical certainty. Let's get started. You can choose to open your command center either in Google Sheets or in Excel, whatever works best for your situation. I'm going to open it in Google Sheets. And as soon as you open it, you arrive here in the Start Here tab, and it's quite a detailed description of what you should do and how you should move through the command center. The first thing is that you define your inflow. This is your monthly income. You put it in here. For example, let's say I have 65,000 a month. This is in Swedish kroner, so you choose whatever currency that you have. I'm currently allocating probably around 65% of my income to my essentials. And directly here, the status changes and tells me, review the structure over time. This is probably a note that I should look into reducing my essentials a little bit. Then I look into my wealth building. This is how much I invest monthly. Let's put 10% of my income. That's 6,500. Then 10% in the future buffer. And that means I have 15% left that I can use for my guilt-free spending. Once I've filled in all of the percentages here, the structure becomes aligned. There's a note here that it's important for you to set up a recurring automated transfer for your investments, your buffer, and your guilt-free living, because automating it makes it easy. We want you to not have to think about your finances too much. So if you haven't done that already from your workbook, then please go ahead and do that. Then we can actually go back to the Start Here tab, and step 2 says Engineer for Volatility. So now we go into the Irregular Expense tab. The point of this tab is to get a better idea of how much of your buffer should go to irregular expenses that you already know about but you forget. For example, car breaks down. Maybe that's 5,000 Swedish a year that I never account for. I always forget that I have to pay for my dog's insurance. That's 4,000. Then holidays, of course, I want to have plenty of those. Maybe that's 25,000 per year. Then what else do I have? I potentially have a dentist appointment that might set me back 2,000. So you go through your year a little bit like this and think about what usually pops up that I'm never really prepared for. And this calculation breaks down what your monthly allocation for each irregular expense should be. In this case, it's 3,000 a month that I should allocate to irregular expenses. I go back to the command center and I double check my future buffer allocation. This means that 3,000 of my 6,500 will be allocated to irregular expenses. The other 3,500 can then be piled on to other events that might happen that I haven't taken into account during the year. After I have double checked my percentages here, I go into my net position. That's the last tab here. And this is where it gets really interesting. It's currently awaiting data. The liquidity reserve is where you input the number that you have in cash or immediate access buffers or funds. For this exercise, I'm going to put in 100,000 here. And without any other inputs, the status here says secure. Then we go into wealth velocity assets. This is, for example, retirement funds or property that I own or investments in stocks, things like this. So here, let's say that my property is worth 5 million. Let's say that I have a boat that's worth 250,000. Let's say that I have 500,000 also in investments. It says here that my status is compounding. And you might have noticed that the status up here changed to thin. That means that in comparison to my tied up assets, my easy access money is quite low. So here I might think about reallocating a bit of my wealth assets into my buffer. Then we get to the less fun parts, which is loans, mortgages, credits, anything that you have like that. Let's put in that I have a 4 million kroner loan. Oops. I have 150,000 kroner loan for my boat. I have student debt. It comes up here that my status is heavy. And this might scare you a little bit first, but go down here and see that your system is actually still stable because your net structural position in this case is 1.5 million. That's not so bad. And looking up here, the status changed again when I put in my liabilities. Now the liquidity reserve says secure because my liabilities are slightly heavier. This is the logic here, and it's important that you note that if you do enter a mortgage here under liability, which I did, the 4 million, you have to also enter the home's total value under the wealth velocity. And this is because we track equity, not just debt. It's important that this is balanced. Make sure that this is correct so you don't get a negative status here. On another note, if you do get a negative status here, if it says action required, for example, that's fine because this will tell you where your action is required. Maybe, as I mentioned earlier, you need to relocate some of your wealth into your buffer to have easier access to money. So this system works so that you don't really have to think about where to put your money. Now it's your turn to install this system. I've built the foundation. All you have to do is step inside. Good luck. I can't wait for you to experience this level of peace of mind.